Welcome to Real Estate AI Flash, the show where AI goes from hype to habit. I'm your host, Rajeev Sajja. Each week, we make AI approachable and actionable for real estate professionals who want to stay ahead of the curve. From lead generation to listing presentations, from marketing strategy to client experience, you'll hear how top agents and industry leaders are using AI to work smarter, save time, and grow their business. So whether you're just getting started or already experimenting with AI tools, this podcast gives you ideas you can use right now. Now let's get to this week's special guest. Welcome, folks, to another episode of Real Estate AI Flash. I can't believe we're a week away from Christmas, but today is going to be a good one. I have Pierre Khoury with Berkshire Hathaway HomeServices, Woodmont Realty, and the Preferred Realty. So Woodmont Realty is in Nashville. Preferred Realty is in Cranberry Township, Pennsylvania, which is where Pierre, for 20 plus years, has built a massive team, over $500 million in transaction volume, with 1,300 plus transactions. And we have Pierre here to talk about how he and his team are leveraging AI. Pierre, welcome to the show.
Hey, thank you so much for having me. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas is right. December is so fast approaching, it's not even funny,
Yeah,
crazy stuff.
it's crazy. Yeah.
Yeah, holiday season for sure. So you and I bumped into each other when I came to Woodmont for their agent event in Nashville. And as soon as you said, I'm wearing Meta glasses, I said, I need to get Pierre on the show anyway. And then it snowballed into where we are today. So I know I gave you a quick intro, and I'm sure we'll get into the glasses stuff with everything going on with AI. But I'd love for the listening audience, I know you've been in the business for 20 plus years and really doing well. So talk us through your career, how you got into real estate, and bring us to today.
Woo, man, I've had more jobs than I can tell you. Nobody grows up and says, "Hey, I want to be in real estate." So I didn't start in real estate. I started in uniforms in bad neighborhoods. I was a police officer. I was in the Army, and then I moved on to the boardwalk in Ocean City, Maryland, and then on to the streets of Baltimore City, Maryland, as a police officer in the 90s when it was a really different city. It was exciting work, but then when my first son was born around 2000, I had that moment of, there's no reason to leave my wife as a widow. So I changed careers. I went into high-end special investigations work, chasing fraud for insurance companies. It was detailed, it was complex work. It's really when I got into computers and got good at reading people, spotting patterns, following the money, and using data to drive my daily life. By 2005, I was bored and I wanted two things, and it was freedom and no ceiling on my income. I got into real estate part-time, and I realized I could do the same investigating, the mindset, the facts, the evidence, protecting the client, and apply it to real estate. And that part-time move in 2005 is turned into like you said, about $500 million in sales, 1,355 transactions. I serve the greater Pittsburgh area, and now I'm in Middle Tennessee.
There you go. And I didn't realize you were a cop, so you're the first cop on the show, at least expert, so there's always a first, first with Meta glasses, first as an ex-cop. But that's a pretty big transition for you. I mean, obviously,
Yeah.
like attention to detail and all the things that you do as in that prior life probably boded well for you in your real estate career as well.
Right.
Right?
It really did. And if you look at what I've done in my career, it's always been about helping people, because that's what we
Yeah.
do in real estate. We help people. And the tools that you bring, and I always say that being able to bring other tools to the business, those investigative skills, understanding data, understanding how homes are built, all of those things, bringing that into the relationship with your clients helps you build that relationship-based business.
For sure. So it's obviously an AI podcast. So one of the things that I wanted to kind of get into before we talk about specific things you and your team are leveraging, I can't believe it's been just over 3 years now, this past Thanksgiving, that ChatGPT was launched, right? It's
Right.
crazy. So what
Right.
was your first like light bulb moment, Pierre, of AI?
Well, the first AI moment came right about the time that ChatGPT came out, and I was literally hiring a writer and a blogger and a copywriter for my team. I had done my last interview. We were growing. I needed better copy, more consistent blogs, email newsletter forms, and I'd already decided to spend some real money on that dedicated writer to bring them into my team. Then I stumbled across ChatGPT, and I'm like, hey, let me test this out before anything. And guess what? I didn't hire the copywriter. I dove all in on that. I had it start copywriting. I had it start writing for me, helping me develop my blogs and my writing skills. And man, what a difference it made. So, what came back at first wasn't perfect. It was about, 70, 80% at the time. ChatGPT, wasn't generative, still kind of isn't generative. But it really gave me the tools, and it gave me the ability to compress my time and use those tools there to do something. And quite frankly, I probably saved my business somewhere between $40,000 and $60,000.
Yeah, no, look, that's a great analogy, great example for your light bulb moment. I mean, we tell people all the time, you can't expect perfection from AI as you start using it. It's just like
Right.
hiring a PhD intern, but they don't know
Correct.
anything about your business. You got to educate, tone, voice, all of those things need to happen to really get quality output from AI. And that's a good example of at least collapsing time and obviously saving you a lot of money as well in this use case that you just mentioned.
Correct.
So,
Correct.
yeah. So let's get into obviously you've sort of moved beyond content creation, which is obviously a
Correct.
big piece of what realtors do. Let's dive into specific use cases personally, as well as for your team. Where are you seeing use cases that are really leveraging AI that are adding value to you and your clients?
Well, I have already talked about it. It's my junior copywriter. We're using it for multi-list descriptions, private remarks, follow-up emails, postcards, brochures, social captions, all of that stuff. It helps me turn that into a lifestyle story that, attracts the right buyer for us. Because I believe that everything starts with the story. You have to create your story. You have to create uh, your special qualities and traits and translate that back to your client. So we've used that specifically with each agent because every agent on our team has a different story. So we've been
Sure.
able to turn that story into their story with their clients. Um, Secondly, pricing, CMAs, and contracts. Man, we do the numbers ourselves. We know our markets, but AI helps us draw and turn that raw data into a clear story that our sellers can follow. You know, Here's the range, here's why, here's what happened. If we choose that fantasy price versus a strategic price, it helps us, script clear, calm explanations for things. But, and we always get like, oh, well, Zillow tells me my house is worth this. I'm like, well, when was the last time Zillow was in there? And again, that raw net data driven stuff. I'm able to take now using AI, I can take years worth of data directly from our multi-list, literally run a zip code and say, I want you to tell me everything that's sold, didn't sell, listed, what the list to sale ratio, all that data, and export it from the multi-list. Then I take that data and I drop it into my favorite AI program and I say, hey, listen, tell me what's selling in this neighborhood. Tell me what's selling in this zip code. So if you have a zip code and you're going after your luxury listings, for example, and you're like, I want to do more luxury in this zip code. And you look at that zip code and you analyze that data quickly, and it says, well, your days on the market for luxury are 120 to 160 days. And it said, hey, maybe you should drop your price point down because everything that's at $600,000 in that neighborhood is selling in 12 days.
Mm.
So AI can quickly look at the statistics for a specific market and say, hey, look, based on the last 6 months data, this is where you should be focusing your business. It helps you
Yeah.
become a better real estate agent. It helps you spend your money better. It helps you focus on what client you should be going after. And then again, giving that data back to your clients, because oftentimes you have clients call me and they're like, what's the number one question that I get in real estate every single day? How's the market?
Yeah, yeah, for sure. So before you proceed, these are great insights, by the way. I want to double click on a couple of things. One is storytelling. You mentioned storytelling, and then the market data I want to get to. So, I've heard, Robert Herjavec, I think, from Shark Tank say this, and I quote him on this, which is good salespeople sell features and benefits. Great salespeople sell outcomes. the really great people sell stories and feelings.
Correct.
And unfortunately, most real estate agents, unless you have a storytelling background, don't have a can't spill a client experience into a story. So, and you're doing that obviously, which is kudos to you because you are in that category of trying to convey feelings and emotions. And if you're interested, I built a custom GPT for turning any experience into a story, and it's called a Storyteller GPT. And you just give it interactions; it'll give you email subject lines. Instead of saying "just sold," it'll give you a really compelling subject line that is a good hook. So we're going to put a link to that in the show notes so you can play with the GPT. So that's the first takeaway: storytelling, which is clearly any experience you have with a client, if you can spin it into a story, it's going to resonate with somebody at a deeper level than just listed, just sold, open house type of
And
message.
before you go on beyond that, what I do is after that appointment or that story happens, I'm simply opening my app. And as I'm driving down the road, I'm telling the story in the project for that home. Hey,
Nice.
this is what happened. This was the emotional reaction. This is what happened with the story. These are the funny things. These are the sad things. These are the good things. And I'm recording that in the project so that when I go back to tell the story, I can easily import that into the project and then write it in your project, in your GPT.
Yeah, yeah. And so let's double click before I get to the market one, projects. So most people that are listening to the show, you may or may not have played with ChatGPT projects. And every tool has it. Gemini doesn't really yet, but at the time of this recording. But Claude has projects, but we're focusing on ChatGPT in this case. And on the left menu, you'll have an idea for a menu for projects. And it's a great idea to create a project for each client. I think that's where you were headed. And now projects you can give instructions to a project, you can upload files to a project. All those been there for a while. But recently, Pierre, I don't know if you know this, you can share projects with other people.
Correct.
Uh,
And I do that every
so
day.
yeah, so it's a great way to think of it as a folder, digital folder for everything. And you're doing something really phenomenal because as soon as you leave a meeting, you can take notes. You can use Plod, AI note taker. You could do that, or you could just open up the project and just talk, right,
Correct.
about all the stuff that happened, and it is just stored in memory. So that's a great takeaway. The second one you mentioned was market data, which I don't know how many are actually leveraging it. You have access to it through the MLS. And I believe AI does phenomenal with structured data, and it can
Correct.
sift through a lot of things. So a great takeaway there as well for you to get insights to answer the question, how's the market? And if you go even further with apps, now you can integrate apps. If you have Canva, you can simply say, create a Canva graphic for this how's the market, and boom, it just does it there within, and it shows you right inside ChatGPT.
Right in that
As a
project you've created, it's like, hey, export this. You have your ChatGPT linked into it, and you say, export it into this project and give me the data and show me the data.
Yeah, 100%. So great takeaways to shorten time in creating how's the market messaging, telling stories. Great takeaway with projects as well. So let's kind of dig in a little bit more. What else are you working on, Priya, that AI is helping you with?
Well, let's look at systems and operations. I have a
Yeah.
team. I have a team of 8 agents. I have a couple of agents in Nashville right now. So behind the scenes, AI helps us build our checklists, our templates, and our workflows. Listing preparation checklist. What happens next? What's the emails? When we're onboarding new agents, what are our onboarding new agents? What do we need to do to get them up to speed? What's our training plan for them? Setting up the reminders for each step in either that checklist of things to list or that onboarding with HR. And then, beyond that, it's like every single contract that we write, we have the master contract set up as a project in AI. We have all the PDF training tools that our state has given us. And it says, when you write a contract, this is how your contract should look. So we've taken the base contract, and then we've taken the PDF versions of that training, and we've uploaded it into AI, ChatGPT. And then I say, okay, I want you to look at this contract, and I want you to let me know if it's compliant, if I've checked all the boxes, if I'm missing anything, and on the listing side of it. And then on the sales side, hey, I want you to analyze this contract and tell me what this agent is doing. I want you to come up with negotiation strategies. We even do the same thing with inspection reports. We'll
Yeah,
take an
100%.
inspection report and we'll download the inspection report into that project and we'll say, hey, the inspector has said this. Analyze this inspection report and help me formulate the items that really stand out for this inspection report that I need to bring back to my client and say, hey, we need to address this in a reply to inspection.
100%. No, so
So it's
before you go
optimizing
further,
hours worth
yeah,
of work.
100%. I mean, there's so much value there that you talked about. I want to kind of dig in on a couple of things. One is onboarding new agents. Let's, as team leaders, listen
Correct.
to this. Broker owners, listen to this. Talk about, where did AI help you create? Did you do a little back and forth? Hey, here's what we want to include in the checklist. Does AI build you the checklist every single time? So let's just assume I'm a new agent on Pierre, and what is the process you go through to build that checklist, and where is AI in that process? Just talk me through that a little bit for the audience.
So it begins before they come to me. So
Yeah.
every agent's going to come to me. They're going to have their resume. They're going to talk about their resume. Based on the resume, then it builds out my questions, my interview questions, the things that I'm looking for. I'm feeding that data back into it. Then let's say I've decided to hire them. I have I've already told you all of my processes, the things that each one of my agents and my marketing team, my back end, my business manager does. I say, hey, okay, look at each role on my team and integrate that into how I should onboard my agent step by step, from learning, our internal processes to how to list a house, to how to do client interactions, how to do data input, how to do follow-ups, how to do feedback, that walk before you run type deal, where I've taken all of my processes that I've built for my team, because as you can tell, I'm very process driven. And
Yeah.
now, because I've developed such an encyclopedia, so to speak, and I've taught my AI who I am, it will then easily spit out, okay, well, you have this new agent and she's never sold real estate before. So maybe you should start out with going over contracts with her, right? Maybe you should do fair housing, make sure that she's properly trained in the issues that are important. From there, introduce her to the platforms that you use and the databases, and then it gives me my step-by-step checklist on how to onboard them.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. So another thing that I don't know if once you onboard them, then that's ongoing training also, right? Beyond the onboarding.
Correct.
So another great application for AI, I built this a while ago for a few group of people who wanted to learn AI. So I built a 30-day challenge GPT that you
Okay.
basically come there and say, day one, go do this, and here's the steps to go do, and they go do it and come back and report. It's almost sort of like a ongoing thing for training. Is
Right.
another. There's so many applications for AI there. So great takeaways there. So the second thing you talked about, which was giving it the PDFs, the contract review or inspection review, et cetera. One of the things you mentioned was you talked about how a contract should look like, a good
Correct.
contract, a template.
Correct.
And I think there's a great takeaway there in all aspects of AI. When you can tell AI what great looks like,
Correct.
it'll follow that path more on ongoing things. So almost feel like I'm promoting the good to great book, but you should got to tell
Right.
what great looks like to AI so it knows what its standards are, and have a high standard. And then you'll push
Correct.
AI to get to that standard versus just taking AI slop and having to work through all of it and get the finish line. So great takeaways there.
Right. Well, and again, it's all specific to, you can even upload your broker's instructions, because your
Yeah.
broker has, generally your brokers are going to have an onboarding checklist for you and their broker expectations on what your contract should look like, what your workflow, how you should upload that. If you put that into AI and say, hey, this is my project on how every contract should look like, and these are what my state guidelines are, but these are my broker's guidelines, it becomes your personal assistant.
100%, 100%. Yeah. So, and you don't need to prepare for this question, so I didn't even send it to you. This was more about, talk to me about, I know we're playing with AI, but sometimes there's new tools we test out before we recommend to people or anything like that. But what is your tried and true AI tech stack that you pay for, Pierre?
Woo! Wow, my tried and true. Um, I mean, obviously it's ChatGPT. We have, the business model of Gemini.
Yeah,
Nano Banana is
yeah,
amazing. If I look at my phone and I can go into my AI folder, what are some of the other things that are really helping us right now? Opus Clip is
Opus Clip for
amazing.
video. Yeah,
Yeah, Notebooks LM, Suno, love your Suno. I got that from you, by the way.
yeah.
I
I
went
love
through your
AI
class on
video.
Suno and everyone's like, hey, this is crazy. This is stupid. And then I started sending motivational videos to my team using this Suno app, and they just went crazy over it.
Yeah,
And then Hey Gen for taking those pictures and turning them into things.
yeah. All right. So, if I count, look, as you're listening, if you're listening to this podcast, Pierre is a team leader. How big is your team, Pierre?
I have 8 agents in Pittsburgh and 2 agents in Tennessee.
And that's like a 10 agent team with a team leader across 2 states, and doing $500+ million in closed volume in the last 2 decades and crushing it. And if you think about, I always say AI is the most ultimate affordable leverage if you can master it for growth.
Correct.
So if you think about
Correct.
ChatGPT, you have the paid version. Is that $20 or $200?
$20.
$20, and your brokerage is giving you, just like where I'm at. We have the business version of Gemini. So even
Correct.
if you had to pay for it, it's another 20. If your company gives it
Correct.
to you, you don't have to pay for it. That's 40. Opus, I pay for it too, because all my podcast things are become reels and all of that stuff. So that was like, I think when I paid for it, it was like $180 a year. If you do
Right.
video, it's a game changer. So that's another, let's just say 20, round it off, $60. And then you mentioned, hey Jen, for like less than $100, you literally saved a copywriter early on when you mentioned on the podcast, and not let
Right.
alone the time it's saving you and your team to be efficient, to add more value to your clients, which is the personal relationships, which is what the true benefit of AI is, to clear the deck for you a little bit more.
Right. I always say is we as agents shouldn't be in the office pushing paperwork. We shouldn't like we're not selling if we're not in the field. If I'm not in
Yeah,
front of people, if I'm not furthering those relationships with people, I'm not doing my job. And my team would be a lot bigger had it not been for AI because I would have added more staff, more back end support.
yeah,
And quite frankly, it's saved me a lot on that side.
yeah, for sure, for sure. So before I get to my final two questions, I want to get to the Meta glasses. Okay, so yeah, exactly. Which
Yeah.
was you. So you're the first guest besides an ex-cop who also came in with Meta glasses. So recently on December 4th, by the way, was our 100th episode. This is episode 102 with you, Pierre. I had Steve Brown, a Google futurist, and he talked about how not just the Meta glasses, Google's launching something this Christmas with Samsung, where he believes, he sort of predicted in the future, agents could walk in with glasses, and literally it will take the pictures for your house. You can talk to it, and it'll sort of write your listing descriptions. And by the time you get to your car, you can review it and press a button, and all the stuff is done without having to do all of that. So I think we're headed in that direction in 2026 and beyond. So tell me how you use your Meta glasses today.
Wow. So my Meta glasses are my personal assistant. Like I said, it's a blessing and it's a curse. All of my prompts, all of my reminders are getting fed through my glasses. The really cool thing about them is that I can still hear what's going on in the world around me without
Mhm.
having Bluetooth stuck in my ear all day.
Yeah.
It's reading my text messages to me. It's sending me my reminders. When I'm going out with meeting people, it's as simple as, if I'm going out to a house and let's say I'm preparing for a listing presentation, I'll simply say, and I don't want to give the prompt now, push the button, give it the prompt, and I'll do a walkthrough of the house with my glasses on. And as I'm doing that walkthrough, I can narrate what I'm looking at. Then I can take that narration, I can transcribe it, I can upload it into AI, and then I can do my staging checklist for my clients. It also gives me my personal notes on the things that I'll need to address, either inspection items, or I can give myself personal notes on the family, on the people I'm dealing with, and how to better build relationships. It's not pen to paper, it's doing it. And then I can say, okay, listen, prompt me in 2 hours to upload all of this information into my database. These are my thoughts on pricing. These are the things that I need to do. And it's literally just recording what's going on around me. It's integrated with my email. It's integrated with my calendar. It's integrated with my text messages. I'll get a text message on these Meta glasses and it'll say, hey, listen, Joan just texted you and it was a reminder that you owed her this response to this inspection. And then, or this response to this contract. I can then just say, okay, hey, Meta, I want you to remind me in 2 hours to send her that contract.
Nice.
All
There's so
hands
many
free.
applications, right? So
It's
many
so many
applications.
applications. And
So
then just a super cool video that you can
yeah,
create.
yeah, interesting. So look, we got a real good promo of the Meta glasses, and if for some reason, if somebody from Meta is actually listening to this podcast, you're welcome to send me a pair of glasses, and I will do a full-blown review. And you're also welcome to sponsor the show. But great testimony there. I think this is so. Does
Hey,
it link
Meta's
to?
coming out with the new glasses, Rajeev. They can send them to me, and I'll give them a Gen 1 versus a Gen
There it
2,
is, Gen
like
2 review.
real
Yeah, send
world
send one
stuff.
to each of us. Yeah, for sure. So
Phone number list, frowning face.
there we go. Your Meta glasses is
Sorry,
talking to you now. No worries, all
just
good.
talking to me now.
Yeah, yeah. So the question is, does it sync to your phone?
It does.
And that's where it sort of gets all the information. It's reading from your phone. So it makes
Yep.
this whole notion of spatial AI, which is knowing your surroundings, which is the next piece, like robotics, that's the next phase of AI. I mean, that's where the big money is moving towards, the power
Correct.
compute. So I can't wait to get get my hands on one of the pair of these glasses and kind of see how that sort of evolves. So that's been a great review for Meta, obviously. Anything else you want to add before I get to my final two questions?
It's really cool to be able to do live videos on your favorite social media platform using these glasses from that POV where you're not holding the phone in your hand. Or in another instance, you can have that script out here and you can have your Meta glasses on and you can be giving that play by play with your phone and your script down below, and you can do a walkthrough and the viewer at home doesn't know.
That's
It's
awesome.
just really super cool. And I'm excited to see where they're going to go with these Gen 2s. I'm not sure that if I'm a big fan of having the on-screen displays on my glasses because
Yeah,
it doesn't do that.
yeah.
But we'll see. We'll see where it goes.
Yeah, and I've heard from Steve Brown that Google's coming out with Samsung for glasses as well. So I
Right.
think that's the place we're headed. Okay, final two questions I ask all my guests. The first one was, you've been in business for 20 plus years. If I was an agent or even a brokerage leader listening to this podcast, what is the one piece of advice? And this advice can be anything, AI or non-AI related, can be anything. What is the one piece of advice that you feel people listening should embrace to pursue success in real estate?
Um, to embrace success is to know that you don't know everything. And honestly, I'm learning every single day. Teach yourself every single day one new thing. It's one of my prompts that comes up in ChatGPT every morning. I've had AI define who I am, who I want to be today, who I want to be in a year from now, 5 years from now, and then help it automate. Like for me, it's automated and it's my accountability partner. It's my personal assistant. So from the very beginning, I would do a better job from day one of building systems. Don't wait until you're drowning.
Yeah,
Use the tools that are around you to build your checklist, your email templates, your simple workflows. Document what works for you, because what works for you will work over and over and over again. Don't chase the shiny new thing that's out there.
yeah,
Find the things that are working, document it, and then use it to build systems, processes, and checklists that are things that you can repeat every single day. It took me 5 years in the business until finally I had a business coach come in and tell me, "Hey, listen, Pierre, you and your at the time I had a partner, you and your partner are duplicating your efforts. You're doing the same things that each of you are doing. Pierre, you're way better listing and marketing homes. All I want you to do is concentrate on that and building your business." And it said to my partner, "You are way better at working with buyers and managing people. Do
yeah,
that. Do that better." So I would find somebody, look out for some help, find somebody that can help you identify what your strengths are. You can use, one of the projects that I do for my team. In fact, I was doing that today, right before this meeting. where have, as I'm preparing for my yearly review with my new agents, I say to them, look at every chat, conversation, or project that I've done in the last year. And I want you to look at it and tell me, what are my strengths? What are my weaknesses? Where do I need to build? And then I want you to help me set my 1 year, 5 year, and 10-year goals based on that. And then prompt me every day to help me personally and professionally hit those goals.
Yeah, great takeaway there. I think systematizing your business so you can, anything you do more than once, you should have a system for it so you can rinse and repeat it as best as possible. So great takeaway there. Final question, Pierre, for you. Are you a book or a podcast person?
I'm both.
Both.
I
Okay,
am
so
both.
I'll give you the flexibility.
I prefer my books because I like to turn technology off at about 8 or 9
Yeah,
o'clock every night.
great idea.
Yeah, I just turn everything off. So I prefer my books.
Yeah. So give me if you had to recommend one book that was deeply influential in shaping who you are today. I know every book has some value. Give me one book that our listeners should read.
I'm going to cheat on this. I'll give you 3 books. Really simple. First and foremost, Atomic Habits by James Clear.
Oh yeah, great book.
That book nailed the idea of outcomes from small daily behavior. In real estate, that's calls, notes, follow-ups, learning, preparation. It all also lines up with the way that I use AI today. The goal isn't to play with AI once, it's to build habits and systems. The second, and it's the 4-hour work week, that influenced me early on by Tim Ferriss. I don't work 4 hours a week, but it changed how I think about leveraging my time and automation and made me ask, what can I do? And then if you haven't read Extreme Ownership by Jocko, you should do that, because if you want to be a leader,
I'm gonna add that to my list.
Man, if you really want to be a leader, lead in business, lead in life, look at people that have done it better than us. And your life is your responsibility. No one else is going to make that change for you. It's not going to be your broker. It's not going to be your wife or your significant other. The only person that can make that change internally is you.
Great takeaways, man. I asked for one and you give me 3 amazing books, which we're going to add to the show notes as well. Pierre, this has been fun. Thank you for taking the time. Are you in Nashville now or Pittsburgh?
I happen to be in Pittsburgh today, Nashville next week.
Okay,
so,
all right.
Who wants to be in Pittsburgh in the winter?
I agree.
Nobody.
I don't blame you. So I
Nobody.
appreciate the time, Pierre, and I know you got to run, and I hope to meet you in real life again real soon. Thank you for your time.
Thank you so much. Have an amazing day, sir.
Some great takeaways with Pierre on that episode: using AI for better storytelling, analyzing market data to answer the question, how's the market, streamlining operations with checklists, and so much more. A quick programming update for next week. Since next Wednesday is Christmas, happy holidays, everybody. We will not have an episode drop that week, and the following Wednesday is New Year's Eve, so we will drop our episode on New Year's Day. If you found value in the show, follow it so you're notified every Wednesday when new episodes drop. Share with someone in the industry that you care for, and leave us a review as it helps us reach more real estate professionals like you.